What's up, everybody? We're going to be getting going here in just a second. Hit a 1 in chat if you're ready to see these charts. We got some incredible news I got to share with you. These dominoes are falling. It's bullish as it can be. Let's talk about it. Hit that like button. Let's get this going. Streaming live from Las Vegas here in 3 seconds. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good bullish Thursday. Yes, the markets are dipping a little bit, but there are signs. There are those data points. There are those things that we look at other than just the price on the chart. Things are stacking up. As you saw on that thumbnail for today's video, the dominoes are falling in the direction that we want to see them fall, meaning those big players, some of the arbiters of the entire finance world, stacking into crypto. And so what we got to do is we got to talk about why the hell we're so bearish on a 4-hour time frame when the rest of the world, the money that matters, is all saying, I better stack in. So right now, let's knock off those shoes, knock off those boots. Let's talk about what's going on in these charts. Everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell if you're ready to get this going. I want to see your names. I want to see your comments, everything flying here in the chat. Shout out to my daddy-o that is here. And also shout out to our new channel partner, Galactics, right here. And I'm going to be sharing more about that $100 giveaway that they are sponsoring. And I want to make sure that you guys can get in on that. But we got to talk about it. If you don't know who I am, welcome to the BitLab Academy show. My name's Kelly Kellum. Let's dig into it. Right now, we see Bitcoin is actually on a little bit of a bounce here. We've got this nice W formation within another little bit of a W formation, forming a little bit of a higher low here. And we're seeing price action push up, but we are in a precarious situation at the moment because price action is sitting right above or right below, right at this previous range low. But interestingly, if we zoom out on this chart, on the 4-hour chart, oh my God, we've been going down. Well, let's stop being crybabies because that's not how you make money in this market. We don't cry. We say, what data should I be looking at so I can stack in when everybody else is crying like blubbering little babies? Because this is about making money. This isn't about being happy. This isn't about being excited in the market. This sometimes gets boring. Sometimes you have to look at the data and not say this price is exciting. Does the price level look exciting due to the data that's involved? And we're going to be diving in to these charts quite a bit more here in a few minutes, but we have some things we got to talk about. So I want to dig into those. I want to dive in to some of these things right here. Now, first things first, we got to start. I know I brought this up the other day, but we got to start right here. The M2 money supply is coming back, baby. This is that level where we can see the money coming out of the economic ecosystem. The money's coming back up here. We're starting to see the start. It doesn't mean it's fully confirmed yet, but we're starting to see the signs of life that is going to be the fuel for which the Bitcoin bulls can absolutely run. And is it just the M2 money supply we're looking at? No, we can also look to this chart right here, the US dollar. Yes, if you're bullish on risk assets, that means you want to see the dollar go further down. And this is showing like it's a little bit of a double top, an M formation, meaning price action bullishly pushes up into a zone, gets rejected. You have a bit of a pullback. And then the bulls try to take it back over. They push it up. And the bear said, you out your mind, sucker. And then right here, you see double top. This is how you define this sort of mechanism. Similarly, we saw right here. We also see a little bit of it right here. This is signals in the chart suggesting that the price action is likely not going to carry through with a continuation higher. And we're seeing this, in fact, the opposite of that. We're seeing on the dollar, and yes, we want to look at Bitcoin. Yes, we want to look at Ethereum and Solana and Cardano and AVAX. We want to look at all those things. But if you're only looking at the specific asset you're trading, you are doing yourself a massive disservice for the possibility of actually making money. In this case, we're looking at the risk matrix, basically. When you see the dollar pushing up into a level, remember, we're having trouble. We were having trouble over the last couple weeks as Bitcoin's price was pulling back. But look at the dollar pushing up. Bitcoin has kind of stabilized recently, right? And look at this, kind of consolidating. And then this is starting to break down. And this is what we want to see. And remember, when we are looking at any price action charted on a graph, we want to look at for two things. Is it going to go sideways? Is it going to go up? Or is it going to go down, right? And so what we want to do when we come up into that double top formation, this is that impulse up, gets rejected by the bears. The bulls have another attempt, but now the bears defend this area, which is what defines this double top. And then on the break of this zone right here, that's an indication that the bulls have lost their steam and the bears are starting to take over that narrative. So on this zone right here, what we're really looking for is on this retrace, is it able to actually overtake this previous high, which we're not seeing that on that dollar index. We're actually seeing this push up. The bears come in, the bulls lose their steam, and we're likely going to see that continuation to the downside. This is what we're seeing right here. See the break of this level. The price action pushes back up. We want to watch this because we're right at this precarious zone of this previous range test low right here on the bottom of this, the dip in the middle of this M. If this does reject, this is going to be a signal that risk assets are coming into another move to the upside. So this is what I'm talking about when we're looking at data points. Sometimes data points isn't just looking at the RSI and stochastics and all these things, looking at the asset you're specifically looking at, but this is giving the broader view of what markets are feeling about their investments in risk assets. So we want to pay attention to this. Now, everybody let me know right now. Again, remember, I am on another setup here in my cousin's bedroom. He's actually asleep right over there, but that's okay. I'm sitting here making sure I can bring you the goods on a daily basis, whether or not I'm traveling or not. And I just want to make sure all the audio, visual, everything's good. So throw a 1 in chat if everything's looking good, sounding good. I've got a bunch more charts I have to share with you today because I want to make sure all of you community members here at BitLab Academy that you are in the know, that you know what's going on and you know how to prepare for what is going on in these markets. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on into the next chart right here, baby. Yes, I shared this with you yesterday, but I got to share it with you again because I got to get it through all of us, not you, not me, every one of us. We are hard-headed simpletons more often than we like to admit. This is that area that we need to be paying attention to right now. Post-halving, the majority of the time, actually, let me take that back. Every time we've had a halving, we've had, on average about 90 days or so that the price action has chopped sideways before it made that next leg up. Now, everybody tells you. Now, did they lie to you when they told you the Bitcoin halving was going to then send prices higher right after? No, they didn't lie. You're just being impatient. Because when we look at this chart, we can see that price action after each halving has gone sideways. In fact, in the middle of this, there are 15 to 20% moves and up and down, chopping people in, up and around. The question is right now, are you patient for what's to come? And this is why we're looking at the data. We're not looking at the price and how boring the price is. Boring prices chop out the wrong people in the market. If you deserve money in this market, if you're going to be profitable in this market, you gotta center in yourself. You gotta center on what your time horizon is and understand that the data suggests we're right on par for where we should be right now. And I do think we are absolutely gonna explode higher. It's just a matter of time. And wait till you see the rest of the data I'm about to share with you. So let's go ahead and get to that data. Right now, let's dive in. Now, I am a little sore today because I started a 6-month journey. Got my body fat index yesterday, and if there was a cliff here, I would jump off of it. But the fact of the matter is, I wrote about it in a lot of the content that I've shared. It's in the BitLab Academy courses. I talk about the balance of life. Okay, we're going to be diving into these charts in a second, but I got to talk to you. I got to get to the heart real quick. If you want to be good at anything, you need to make sure that you're addressing everything with the same kind of approach, with discipline. You have to approach it with the right mindset. If you're not able to hold yourself disciplined just to, whether it's walk a mile a day or do some push-ups or change your diet slightly, how are you gonna hold yourself accountable for sticking to your strategy and your trades, for sticking to the time horizon you have? Of course, adjustments can always come, but if you cannot stay disciplined, really the mechanism in anything in trading and investing comes down to, do you have rules set and can you mind them? So if you're also not able to practice those elements of discipline in your everyday life, then that's also going to matriculate over into poor decision-making in your money management in these markets. Now, so if you see me being a little tight today, it's because your boy has been out of discipline on the physical level for about 7 years. So let's get it. I just hope I can inspire all of you to take a couple steps each day to towards that balance of life. Now let's dive back in here. Let's look at what's going on. What the hell is going on? Well, let's look at this. And I don't want to make this political, but this is just a fact that's going on right now. If you don't think Bitcoin and crypto has been co-opted to a political choice, this makes it clear. Democrats in office want to limit crypto. Republicans vote to support crypto. I am not making this assertion being a Republican or a Democrat. What I'm doing is you can look at this picture, this image right here. It shows you this legislation essentially is this vote here proves where the alignment of what people are trying to do based on their political allegiance in the House of Representatives. This is not good. It's not good. This shouldn't be political because at the end of the day, money shouldn't be political. Freedom in the country that we're supposed to be, you know, embracing freedom and especially in the US with our Constitution and all this kind of stuff. Why is supporting something that empowers freedom so controversial? Makes you ask the question, why do you want to hide things that encourage transparency? So looking at this, and we know we're coming into an election year, this is going to be an ever-pressing issue going into the next, not only this election, but probably the next election too. And that's also exemplified here from Willy Woo. It says 15% of the 258 million adults in the US hold crypto. 15%. That's around just under 40 million people in the US own crypto. And the interesting thing about this, I want you all to understand this. The interesting thing about this number is actually going to be cloak and dagger, exponentially higher than people believe or even are aware it is, because already as it is with all these Bitcoin spot ETFs that have launched, there's a good portion, I'm talking probably a significant number of people that are going to start getting exposure to Bitcoin without even being aware of it. Well, how could that be? Because these Bitcoin spot ETFs, I feel like I swallowed a bug or something. These Bitcoin spot ETFs, especially with the data I'm about to show you, but as these different registered investment advisors start becoming more aware of Bitcoin, also seeing the prowess and the record-setting data that's coming out of BlackRock and Fidelity and Van Eck, now how much money is already poured in the first 78 days or 80 days, however many days it is now since January 10th. Well, not everybody that has an investment relationship with an advisor, most people don't know every individual stock or every individual ETF that is in those investment portfolios. Essentially, especially I should say, when you sign up for some sort of investment fund, whether it's through an employer or whether it's through a registered investment advisor, there tends to be packaged portfolios and you can pick which level of risk you want and so on and so forth. So over the course of the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months and beyond, more and more people are going to start wondering, they're like, especially coming in through this bull market, as Bitcoin absolutely will, I do wholeheartedly believe we will have an incredible bull run. That's going to create a disproportionate growth in the particular funds that people are involved in. It's like, why is my fund doing so much better this year? Oh, well, we added Bitcoin to this portfolio. And so people are going to become more and more aware of this beyond what we could even imagine. So when we see this data right here, that around 40 million people currently own crypto, and about 68% of those hold Bitcoin, this number is going to start jumping exponentially for this reason and for many other reasons. So there are so many things on the horizon that actually absolutely scream, if you're not getting exposure now, or at minimum, gaining some education or indulging some level of curiosity, you are literally stealing from the next 4 to 6 generations of your family. So put down the ignorant rock that's in your head and say, hey, maybe there's a different opportunity. Because let me ask you, do you like what's going on right now with our money? Do you like the fact that they tell you the inflation's around 3.5% or some bullshit like that, and somehow everything you do costs 7 times as much as it's ever cost? I mean, that alone, even if you think Bitcoin is magic internet money, why don't you go and see how the dollar the management of the dollar, because it's an absolute crock of, there's some words I can use there, and I've already hit my curse limit today. So let's go ahead and continue on there. But here we go. This continues on with these dominoes that are falling. We're going to be getting to these charts. We're going to be breaking down some TA, but we got to look at the data that's supporting why, not only, I don't want to say why, but the fact that Bitcoin is where it's at in its market cycle, looking where it's at in its market cycle. And I mean, just bullish trend here. We look at this on the 3-day chart. We can see, oh my God, it was dead. And now look at this. And now people are wondering it's dead again. But then when we come over here to this longer time frame chart, we can see that this has died so many times and only had higher lows each time and only higher highs each time on these macro cycle trends. So let's ask ourselves what's going on. What are the big players doing? Is there more? The question is, we talked about the M2 money supply back over here, but is there more money that's going to come in that can send it higher? Well, the bullish Bitcoin dominoes continue to fall in favor of the bulls. Just in, insurance giant Mass Mutual, shout out to my pops who's in the chat right now. He used to work with Mass Mutual. Insurance giant Mass Mutual reports exposure to Bitcoin ETFs in their 13F filings. You see what we're like, Mass Mutual has massive funds that people participate in. This goes back to the statement I made a few minutes ago, where people are going to be getting exposure without even fully being aware or understanding that they have exposure. So you are not only so early, because I would argue in the next, over the next 5 to 15 years, it's going to start moving to where the majority of people globally that have Bitcoin, or exposure to Bitcoin, I should say, will actually have it through electronically traded products or funds, ETPs or ETFs, for this type of reason that we're looking at right here. And it's not just Mass Mutual. We've also got, okay, here's some more dominoes falling. European regulator considers allowing Bitcoin exposure to be added to a $12 trillion market for UCITS. Now, the UCITS are almost 2 times bigger than the US ETFs. Think about how big the US ETFs are, and this is 2 times bigger. This is a huge amount of capital that may be able to then start being a capital flow to gain exposure to Bitcoin. So these dominoes are falling. The dollar right now is setting up for a breakdown. We just had the Bitcoin halving. We talked about that right here. We're in this chop period right now. People are worried. But then again, we have the M2 money supply is about to roll back over, creating capital that can flow into this market. So you ask yourself, why am I being a little bitch right now when the price action is having a little bit of a pullback, and in fact still sitting above this incredibly strong resistance? We've already flipped it to support, and look at this. We had this deviation below, but we are still sitting beautifully on the scheme of things, especially even if this had dropped all the way down into the 51, 52,000 or below. We are sitting so beautifully right now, considering these topics that we're talking about with Mass Mutual getting involved, with the UCITS potentially getting exposure. We also see who? None other than the Rothschilds, the absolute premier, basically rulers of the world, because they own the global banking system. And what is this? This one shows, SEC filings show that Rothschilds have 3.6 million in Bitcoin ETFs. Now, I actually dug a little further, and we can see right here, Edmund de Rothschild basically is the joint group for the Rothschilds family, now holds shares in Bitcoin exchange traded funds, according to recent regulatory filing. And we can see, scrolling down, where's that number? I saw it before. Where did it go? It's something like 4.3 right here. According to a recent regulatory filing, it owns 4.2 million worth of shares of BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust IBIT and $82,000 worth of shares of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Now, I do know a couple years ago they did have some exposure to the Grayscale Trust. So I'm wondering actually if they've also not only rotated this money out into IBIT, but the point here is, at minimum, baseline here is that the Rothschilds, regardless of if they hate it, regardless if it flies in the face of everything that they control, being outside of the traditional monetary system, outside of traditional banking, they have exposure to it. And in fact, their exposure, I mean, this is such, I don't even know what to say about this, because this changes the dynamic of the argument for anybody that says this is not a good asset. Well, the premier banking family of the last couple hundred years has a big part in running the world, has exposure to these Bitcoin ETFs. Now, remember, I also want to just remind you of all this. I shared this yesterday, but it's a good reminder. BlackRock is shilling, basically promoting their Bitcoin ETFs to pension funds. Not only pension funds, but also you see they're doing advertisements on mainstream media. You got Morgan Stanley. This is one that we brought up a week or two ago, is about to get Bitcoin exposure to its funds. So I think it's, I can't remember, it's three or it's quite a few of their different, because they have various different funds. So this is like an institutional registered investment advisor group, right? And they have trillions, like beyond what we can even comprehend, of money that they manage, and they're adding Bitcoin exposure to their various funds. Europe's second largest bank, BNP Paribas, bought a Bitcoin ETF. Argentina is about to mine Bitcoin. South Korea and Australia are about to approve Bitcoin ETFs. A few years ago, any of these would have been major news. Today, people barely even notice. And we're over here looking at the price going, man, it's not moving how I want it to today. Why are we so damn impatient? I mean, look at how fast this has moved. From back here, it felt like the end of the world. November 6th, 2021, $68,000. We went down. At this level, I guarantee you, there's at least 3 people in this chat, if not 70, that at this level, it's like, damn it, when this was pushing up, I should have gotten more back at 20. And then what happens? The price crashes to 15. And the majority of people that said that got no exposure in the $15,000 to $17,000 range, even the $15,000 to $20,000 range. And that's okay, but you got to accept that in yourself. We've got to look ourselves in the eyeballs, look in the mirror and say, you have been a dumbass. Ask yourself, what could I do to do things differently? It's not do them like you've done them before. I'm sharing the data with you. I'm trying to give you every tool that I've learned over the last 6 or 7 years in these markets, and realize the fear of the price is what creates the opportunity for the buy. So this is a fear in the market, and we've shown it on a number of different charts with the on-chain data that I share with you regularly. But this is short-term holders selling on the way down, just chopping around until the price drops, and long-term holders start buying up around this area here, and they layer in all the way in here. And the interesting thing about all this is, and we've talked about this, and look, the recent week or two, is that yes, long-term buyers buy here, but we have seen an astronomically interesting and incredibly bullish signs on-chain data showing that whales and large players with 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin at this level, that we peons, we little shrimp in the market, we're worried about this dip, and we're seeing an absolute explosion in those mid-large level buyers, 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin in their wallets, stacking ferociously at this level. Now, why is that? Well, let's zoom back on the chart. Let's look at this right here. We can zoom back on the chart and see that it's actually right here. This is a previous cycle. This is a previous range high before this cycle, as this cycle is moving up. So we had this, and I was here for this back here too. And back here, I thought my life would change forever. And then this was my first real crash here. And then this felt like the world was ending. But because I've endured this, and then no, it's going back up, and then I endured this, and then these are all lessons. And then the market fell out, and it's just like, it's over. But I didn't give up, and this rose back up, and then now we know we're going back up, and then we get the COVID crash. You can never predict what the black swans are going to be, but you can also always predict that there's going to be something that comes, especially geopolitically, especially with politics, especially with the fact that Bitcoin in some ways threatens the entire underpinning of the traditional finance world. But the truth is this market is still so small that, I mean, you know, roughly a little over $1 trillion for Bitcoin for that market cap. It has 10x or more to go just to get to the level that it's at with gold's market cap. So understanding that the market has these oscillations and we understand what goes on. Let's come back over to this right here. Understanding that this is 3 cycles lined up, halving. We had some time to cool off, to chop people out, to say who's really deserving of these profits. That's what this time is right now that you're in, post-halving, and then we get the large moves to the upside. The market's going to try and shake you out as good as it can. And so when we're looking at this, and we know that this happens regularly, and this is a previous all-time high, the market breaks down, we get this early pre-halving sort of run up. This is where the halving is, this yellow line right here. And then you see this zone right here. We measure this across, that is 156 days. Now, the reason I measured that is because you could measure it 2 ways. You can measure it like this, across to here. That is still 75 days before we had this Bart Simpson pattern where you have the squeeze, the short squeeze, boom, up, consolidation, and then it breaks back down. But we have a higher low here. But essentially, this entire area is just washout zone for either time-based washout because people are bored, or they try to jump in every long or short with 30x so they can make a lot of money. Or right here is this large impulse up. Now people are sure it's going up. And what happens is you have open interest growth go through the roof. And by the way, I have an incredible interview that I am doing this afternoon that I can't wait to share with you guys with Credible Crypto, who's somebody I've been following for a long time. And he's got some incredible data that we're going to be going over. I can't wait to share that with y'all. But then this washout of all the shorts that still thought this was going down, consolidation. Now people are getting very long. Now you wash out all those longs. Now you have a clean market. Now it can go up. But what happens? We did start going up. And what happened? Oh my God. Let's get in there. There we go. Oh my God. Let's go in here. It's like, oh, it's going up. No, it's over. Oh no, it's up. No, it's over. This is exactly what we are doing right now. Slightly different shape. And you see this box right here. This is that zone where the previous all-time high was. So when we look at where we're at right now on the market, here's a previous all-time high, and I included both of these, the 64 and the 69. So let's go over to where we're at right now. Let's actually clean up this chart a little bit. We're gonna go like this here. We'll just do 2 lines to make it quick. Option J, and then another one, Option J. Now let's go ahead and see where the price is right now. What are we doing? Price was running up, and I can delete all these. This is just where we're having Bollinger Band squeezes from a stream or 2 ago. We push up into that previous all-time high region. We're getting that washout to the downside. So is it really something that we need to be worried about right now? I don't think so. We need to take a look at the broader picture so that we can take advantage of that explosive price action. Right now is still absolute opportunity zone before, because remember, look, that felt like, where'd it go? That felt like this was over. And then from this zone right here, still need to go like this. There we go. From this zone right here, price action still pushed up 300%. Now I know all of us get in the market because we've heard people make 30x, 50x, 100x. You'll still be able to do that with some different projects that are out there in the space, but we have to be realistic about what's coming. And if you're mad at a potential 300% move, which is a 3x, is 287% here, but over 381 days, so over the next year, making a 3x on any investment in that amount of time in one of the, what I would argue is one of the safest assets in the world, then I don't know what you're really looking for. Might as well go on the corner and sell crack, but then you're going to essentially be putting yourself into higher risk, right? So what we're looking at is the strongest asset in the history of the world with monetary policy that is audited every 10 minutes, every block that every Bitcoin miner on the network has to agree and say, yeah, all those transactions check out. And we see the largest financial institutions in the history of the world having just absolutely aped into these assets. And now the rest of the traditional asset world is taking notice So this is telling me this is opportunity, but for that next move up. Because what did we talk about at the beginning of this stream? For a bull market, we want to see rise, retrace, continuation. We're looking for the break of this level, right? Otherwise, if you get the rejection there, you get the M formation, potential breakdown, continuation to the downside like this. So what we're seeing right now is rise, retrace. What's the next step? Boom, continuation. So let's be patient. Let's be patient here, as this is all just on a time basis right now, just boring everybody to death. When in reality, if you're looking at this data, you shouldn't be bored. You should be chomping at the bit that the fact that we still have this opportunity sub $80,000, sub $100,000, sub $150,000, $150,000. Because once this starts going up into those levels, we may never have these opportunities again. Let's be excited about this. Let's continue on with where we're going here. So Rothschild layered in. We got Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, the European bank. I mean, it's just, the stories are just nonstop. But then we do have, on the shorter time basis, as bullish as I am, that doesn't mean we have to forget about some of these shorter time things. So you can't ignore the potential for bearish Bitcoin signals in the short term. I am an absolute bull, but in the short term, looking at this chart right here, this is the OTC balance over the counter. This is primarily where most of the ETFs are getting their Bitcoin from, because if they're buying 30 million, 100 million, $1 billion of Bitcoin a day, they're not going on exchange and putting in a market order on Coinbase. That's not what they're doing. They get their coins. I seen Na said, please talk about VELO later. Let me know which one, Velodrome or the other Velo. There's two different Velos, but I'm happy to. But this is over the counter, that market that the basically institutions are buying from. You know, for instance, like Michael Saylor traditionally also buys OTC as well. So you don't have slippage in price. So you don't put a market order and make the price jump $15,000 just because you're doing an order for your institutional buys. So this is interesting. No supply shortage of Bitcoin on OTC desk. There's 205,000 Bitcoin. The past 30 days were the biggest monthly inflow of Bitcoin to OTC desk since May 2022. Similar to the Bitfinex whales reducing allocation into the all-time high in March, clear market top like 2021. Now this is, I don't think this is a market top, but we can't ignore this signal, this pinkish line here, as this rises dramatically. Now let's go back on this chart and see in these areas where this rises dramatically, the OTC balance. Here you go. You had a big rise here, price continued down, big rise here, price continued down, big rise here, price went down, but up right after. So two big rises here. Now this is why I think it's a bit different. I don't think we're at a local top, because here we had a big rise, and yes, we did have a bit of a fall, but then we had a continuation of the upside that did end up obviously rounding out and breaking down, but that followed this next rise here on this OTC desk. Similar right here, huge influx into exchanges, small dip back. So I'm looking at this and saying, yeah, there's been a huge increase of capital that is available, or Bitcoin that's available on the OTC desks. Does this mean that the price is going to go down? I think we're already kind of seeing that price is going down in some regards, you know, on this recent pullback that we've been having since back here. This was all-time high, March 13th, since this. And let's go ahead and take a time measurement on this. Press shift, click on the chart, come over there. That is 57 days. So 57 days, let's just put this into context. That's 57 days. Now let's go ahead and zoom out on this. Let's go to the daily chart. I just want to point something out to you guys here. So to that top, we had 430 days of absolute crushing bullish market, just absolute going almost parabolic to the upside. And now we're worried about 57 days with a little bit of a retest into a zone that we had already marked out weeks and almost months ago at this point. In addition to all this, we can see that the price has formed this descending level of resistance, and the price is pushed up into this next range, rejected back down, And all in all we're seeing right now, currently, until we lose these candle lows, all in all we're seeing is a retest of what's known as an SR flip, support and resistance flip. This resistance flipping to support. I'm not bearish at all looking at what's going on right now in the market. We see the stochastics coming back down quite low. Oops. This is the orange line. Stochastics coming quite low. I mean, let's look. Let's do option V. Let's do option V. This gives a vertical line. It's going to go across the price action on the chart. And we're going to see when these stochastics get quite low, what the price did at those levels. This is what's known as, sort of predictive historical analysis. So we're going to mark this a little bit ahead of where we're at now. Okay, well, let's look at this. Oh, I just marked this on just this one signal, this orange line on the stochastics. Okay, low, boom, low, boom. This one didn't quite get down low. We just had a washout there, but we also have another one right here. Low, this one up. I mean, this was not insignificant. This was 32% pump. The point being is there are signs of life in this chart that there are some setups coming in for the potential of a fairly strong move to the upside if we just allow ourselves to let it play out. Again, even if we wash down into this $53,000 zone, which I'm not eliminating from a possibility of my own analysis, even as bullish as I am right now, consider the fact that these markets move when they are the healthiest. And as we're sitting in these zones and we have broken out of this level and we are still seeing different pumps here and there in the altcoins, there's still a possibility of a flush out to really make people want to leave crypto. And that sometimes can be when you get the biggest springboard to the upside. So I'm not eliminating this target on my chart from a potential, but as I look at it right now, I think the more likely move in the short term is to retest not only past this $63,000 level, but up into this 65,000, which really it's all the way through 67. And if we do, 64 through 66, if we clear that, then I actually think that we're actually going to be testing up here into the $70,000 to $73,000 level. Now, why is that? Because we've talked about this regularly here. Let's go ahead and rerun this. Looking at these liquidation levels on the chart, there's a lot of different just layers of interest that the market makers can utilize to take your money if you're not patient. So let's zoom in on this. Let's zoom in closer like this. Actually, let's actually refresh this. There we go. So all these colorful areas are areas, zones of interest for high probability of liquidations. Now, liquidations, if they're above us, then that means somebody shorted at some of these levels. They're shorting and they're holding a short open. And if the price pushes into this zone above us, then those are forced closes. So you have a short and the price keeps going higher. There's a level at which that your price will be, you either have to close your short before it's liquidated or you're forced close through liquidation, which is essentially a forced buy. So if price action does push up and through these zones, remember I was talking about the 63, which is what we're testing now, but up through that 64 through 66, if we can clear all the way through this zone, the next level is up into that $67,000 zone. And then the next level above that is going to be that 70, look at this, 70K all the way up here into 74. So really the main levels, looking at this, we get a better picture. Really the levels we're looking at here, the 63 to 64K zone, if we can clear this, likely move up into here to 67. And if we clear that, then likely all the way back here, testing previous all-time highs. We're getting more and more people aware of what's going on. We get more and more excitement in the market. We just want to pay attention to some of those key metrics. And I'm going to be keeping you up to date here on this market about some of those levels as they come in with open interest, with funding rates, these things that show us if the open interest is getting very high and the funding rate is getting very positive, a high positive funding rate means that most of that open interest, these leveraged positions, these derivatives, these, you know, these 30Xs, etc. That means everybody's betting long. And if everybody's betting long as this is going up, then you have a recipe for the price to then ricochet back to the downside, because the market is going to always try to flush out that leverage. If this does push up and we see open interest rising, but the funding rate staying relatively the same, then you're getting an even sort of mix of longs and shorts, which is actually still relatively healthy. So we're going to be paying attention to that along the way. Now, I had a couple other things here I wanted to share. Where was that last chart? Yeah. So right here, okay, so signs of life on the flip side of this bearishness with the open interest going, the OTC desk going higher. When we look here at, from Willy Woo, early signs, if I squint just right, that flows into the Bitcoin network are picking up again, probably needs another week to confirm this trend reversal probability. Now, everybody wants to say all the flows have to do with ETFs. Well, you can see clearly here, the darker areas are just healthy flows into the space. The light blue, the light blues are the ETFs. That's all these ETFs are making up. So everybody wants to think every move that's being made in this market is directly correlated to what's happening specifically with the ETFs. It's not. In fact, the flows, the network flows in Bitcoin actually are far outweighed by other flows outside these ETFs. But when you really zoom in here, I don't know if I can, I can zoom in there a little bit. This had this sort of rising, these bottoms here, these are outflows. But this had this pretty big dip, and this flipped back positive, not only on the ETFs, but also here, this bottomed right at zero, and the darker blue area also flipped bullish. And if this could continue maintaining, making some higher highs, this is going to go back to what we said at the beginning. What are the things that we need for that to happen? More money and the dollar breaking down. So we're seeing multiple different types of signs across different things that are suggesting there is bullishness that's on the precipice in the short term if some things can follow through. On the long term, on the medium and long term, I am absolutely as bullish as they can get. Now, what's happening the next week, I'm not quite sure, but I do think here, I would resolve to say that likely by this time next month, we will be on our way pushing back up, at least testing previous all-time highs. Now, looking here, we can also see with the altcoin markets, man, I don't know why I'm coughing. Do altcoins really look that bearish? Or is this just perhaps the best buying opportunity of the last few months? This is just a, great trend line here. Great trend line here, and the price action, once it breaks through, just finding support. Boom, 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 boom. Rejection, rejection, rejection. No, we're back above. Boom, boom, boom. Just testing it. Not only that, we can see down here, this oscillation from when we went from this yellowish orange into the green expansion is right here. We just went from orange into this green expansion. I do think that, I think I'll be your huckleberry. Looking at these charts, that's right. In addition to all these things, introducing the tether ratio channel. Effing great buy signal, and it's signaling now. This is that stablecoin supply ratio, and we're seeing the tether ratio, once it drops to a certain level, you actually get some bullish price action. This was in a bear market, remember. So the bullish price action on a bear market is going to be basically your retraces, your sort of bounces back up before continuation down. And again, right here, bottom, bounce back up before continuation down. But then we get into the bull market. Here's a great example right here. This is that period of time I was talking about 20 minutes ago with this. The halving was right here. This was that impulse up, consolidation sideways, washout back down before liftoff. And look what happened. On this washout back down, the stablecoin supply ratio dropped so far down that this gave almost like a spring launch to the upside. What do we see where we're at now? Pull back. This ratio drops, impulse up. Of course, we had a little bit of a breakdown back again here, but again here we get this reset, large impulse up. Here's the ETF approval and launch here. Oh my God, it failed because we dropped at 19%. And then what we get? Spring launch, boom, up. And now what do we see again? This ratio right here has dropped to such a level that it's actually a lower low from where it was back here. And yet the price is so much higher, but we're doing the pullback. We're getting the signs of life that we want to see. If you're not bullish right now, I don't know what to tell you. Every single one of you needs to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding the bell. Let's go ahead and dive in and look at a couple things. And remember, as we're making money, especially now, I truly believe we've got quite a bit of a bull market left to go. And even still, when you are buying and selling and holding and trading Bitcoin and these various alts, make sure you're not holding every single thing you have on an exchange. Head over to getarculus.com, channel sponsor here. It's my favorite hardware wallet that is out there. And they've got just some great technology. Every one of you that has credit cards or debit cards that has a little chip in it, same company that developed the technology. They have the patents for all that. Compo Secure, I think, is the name of them. And Adam Lowe is the PhD. Like, he got like 260 patents. One of the smartest guys I've ever met. It's my favorite wallet, and you can use it. You can click on that link in the top of the pinned comment in the top of the live chat there. You can get Arculus for 10% off. Use LAB10, LAB10 for 10% off. Now let's go ahead and talk about a little bit more what's going on in here. All right, so we're talking about Bitcoin. It's rising, but everybody's looking at all these other coins. They're like, Ethereum, why isn't it going up? Everything's kind of waiting on that risk mitigator in the entire space. If there's confidence in Bitcoin, there's going to be confidence everywhere. If there's shaky ground in Bitcoin, then there's going to be a huge aversion to risk almost everywhere else, with some small pockets that do pump. You see Ethereum, I mean, keep building these levels and breaking down, breaking down. But we are forming a higher low at the moment. Let's go ahead and go out on the 3-day and look at this. On the 3-day, look, we just came down to a level that we had drawn from all the way back over here, this box. Previous level of support, which is also represents the golden pocket of this full move. And look, we're just sitting on this shelf, this golden pocket, 0.618, 0.65. You want to see what I'm talking about? We'll draw it again. Option F, if you're on PC, it's Alt F. Draw it top to bottom, bottom to top, I should say, bottom of the move, top of the move. And this is that golden pocket, 0.618, 0.65. Just finding support on it. If Ethereum loses this level, the next clear level to me for this to go is between this 786, the next fib down, and this line right here, which is the previous range top here. So this would be a pocket of 2,600 to 2,700. But I am leaning more bullish. The caveat here, though, is I'm leaning more bullish with Bitcoin and a good part of the rest of the market if the Ethereum ETF receives some damning news about it absolutely not happening, or there's just mass rejection and all that sort of thing. That could, I think, temporarily damage the local price on it, meaning we could get a larger dip to the downside. There's also all this context with what's going on with SEC Chairman Gary Gensler, and he's never making a decision about honestly stating whether or not Ethereum is a security. They're trying to drag everything through the court. In fact, they just keep offering Wells notices to more and more different crypto people that are operating with any sort of participation in crypto. So I think more than anything, what all their really agenda is to create uncertainty with money powers that be, as well as government regulators. So money doesn't flood into this, because it is so primed to absolutely skyrocket the entire market if they were just to give these approvals. So we have to pay attention to that. Now, somebody said VELO. Can you guys let me know? I can't scroll back and chat. Let me know which VELO they wanted to do. But we can look at Velodrome, because I know it's one of those coins that I did share with you guys a while back. We can look at both. Here's VELO Tether, and this one needed to take some Peptid AC or something. This one had some heartburn there with this breakdown, just large deviation down, rejection back, and have a little bit of rejection again, and finally broke through and is just kind of curving to the upside. This is actually looking quite nice. And now, but look at where it's at. Option H, let's put a horizontal line. Price action currently, we can do 2 lines. Price action currently is fighting with this price action that was back here from May of 2022. Now, this is looking rather good. It's almost like an Adam and Eve pattern, or Eve and Adam. I can never remember the order. A V-shape pattern, and then the sort of curved bottom there. So what you do here is you can draw a line right here, Option H. Let's go ahead and delete these others. When we draw this line, then we can take a measurement, Option T. If you're on PC, when I say Option, just use Alt. This is a quick way to do all your lines and stuff. So the target on this would be up here roughly, and look at that. Isn't that crazy? The target here on this breakout would be to look at exactly where these previous supports were. Boom. That's pretty crazy. Some say TA doesn't work. It doesn't work ever, to be exact. It gives you a general idea about if this, then that. So we know that this is a bullish formation based on this bearish impulse. The bulls bring it back. The bearish impulse. And the bulls just round it back, showing that the bulls are building the narrative of control here. So on the breakout of this, you take this measurement, it gives you an idea where this likely could go. So on this note, does this target line up with any previous price action? Yes, it does. We had support right on this level. So this tells me that's a very good level to be watching. So now we can also do Option F from the top of this point here to the bottom. That's going to be a pretty big breakout then, because that's way beyond the even 5.618. But where are we at right now? Look at where it went. Rejection at the 1, comes back to the golden pocket. Breaks through, it goes up to the 1.618, the golden fib extension. Breaks down, finds support on the 382. Now the next move up, I'd be looking for, you can kind of go like this. See, I love fib extensions for this purpose. So you can create a bit of a line there. Put one at the 3.618, one at the 4.618. Now this would represent, even from there, that's a 24% move just to that next golden fib extension. And then it would be a 70% move, 75% to the 3.618, and 116% move all the way up here. We see positive money flow. We're on the 3-day positive money flow. Although that the momentum looked like it was starting to dwindle a bit, we have a lot of buying pressure coming in. I know this because this momentum wave has flipped from white to green, meaning that there's a lot of underlying buying. VWAP angled up, starting to look bullish. RSI angled up. Let's go ahead and look at this. So the weekly VWAP, we could actually go down to the daily to see this a bit more clearly. The weekly VWAP is this yellow line. It's just giving, we had a little bit of a washout here, but then finding support on this weekly VWAP in here and launching back off of it. Bullish spread, meaning they want to play the bullish, position, sending price up and then bringing price back to it and buying, and then sending price up and bringing price back to that yellow VWAP and buying. Now we can look at the other VELO as well. Where are you at, baby girl? Somewhere in here. Here it is. So this one not looking as good as the other one was. This one's looking the opposite. However, I will say, completely different shapes, but this is also a newer coin. But we can see right here, Velodrome looks like it came back and gave you a great buying opportunity, coming back to, look at these two previous ranges, right here and right here, where this tested the top side, this tested the bottom side. Where'd price come to? It came down and basically flushed out this zone, came back above the weekly VWAP, and is now fighting in this zone. This is not over because it hasn't broken through. In fact, what we're looking for right now is an opportunity, because as it stands on this 12-hour chart, we do have a higher low. If this starts forming, truly forming this higher low right in here, meaning the lows of these candles, this is lower than this. This is higher prices than this. We also see that we have on the momentum waves, we can see these two levels right here fairly even, whereas this is much higher. So we're getting a little bit of hidden bullish divergence here, meaning that there's underlying bullishness that's building into what's happening. Where right now, if this does hold this level and push up, the first level we want to watch on Velodrome is the weekly VWAP. If we cannot get through this, then they don't want to play any positive spread. It just comes up to this, up to this level and rejects, then we're likely testing back down here to 13 cents. If we're going to push up above this, and we'll see how this is chopping along the way. This is a great example. This pushes up above the weekly VWAP right here, comes back and says, do they want to play a positive spread? Yes, they do, up. Now, this did not sustain. In fact, we had to look at this, head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, and then it was sent down. Now, in this case, if we do get the higher low, then the characterization of this is more and more bullish. If this can push up and break through this 1542, then I do think we're going to be testing this region, right? Basically, these previous ranges, we can actually draw a box right in this sort of zone right here. Come on. Work for my daddy. How many times you got to click on something for it to work? There you go. I'll be watching this level because of these kind of bounce zones and this rejection, and then these rejections, this support, rejection, rejection, rejection. The next level above 1542 I'll be watching is 1625. And if we could take that out, then we're probably in store for a bit of an attempt at a stronger reversal here. That's what I'm seeing on that. Quant. We have not looked at, I saw somebody put quant in here. We have not talked about quant in some time. Let's take a look at quant. Quant is on the smaller time frame, making a little bit of a move to break out. Look at this. So let's turn off the other lines. See rejection, rejection, rejection. Now we're kind of attempting a breakout, but you see this large wick here. Got to be a little skeptical at the moment. But we may be in store. Maybe we're getting those little brewings of the broader market starting to try to make some reversals, because look at this. You can't just look at this and not look at the bigger picture of what's going on. This feels good, but is there a larger pattern of what's happening? Well, we have the breakdown, we have a bounce, we have a breakdown, and then there's a W pattern here suggesting a bounce, and we're getting that. If we get the bounce, and what do we get? We get a semi-macro W pattern there suggesting that this could be a reversal in play that could continue higher. It's not formed yet. It's in the process of potentially being formed, but you got to be able to look out for these things so you can keep yourself in position when, as things break out. So what we're really watching for, if that were to take place, is all these lows and this high, essentially right where we have this 105 marker. If price action can push up to this zone, break out, find some support and go, I do think that quant's going to be on another large move to the upside. Let me scroll through what some of you guys are saying. Shout out to everybody that's in the house. And by the way, I'll do a couple more charts here in a second. I do want to shout out this tweet and our other new channel sponsor. Oh, by the way, Render. Look at this. Best looking chart in crypto. Look at this large bullish divergence here with hidden bullish divergence with Render looking sexy as it can be. But I do want to shout out our channel sponsor, a new partner, Galactics. Definitely check it out. And remember, I told you all yesterday, I protect myself as much as I can online. I always have a VPN on. I don't want anybody ever to try and hack into my system, try and steal my crypto. So I always set mine for stuff like either Lithuania or Brazil or something like that, just because I don't want them to know where I'm at so they can steal my money and hack me. And so I never have problems logging in anywhere. So if that's not a hint for you, you can come over here and use this link right here. Sign up. There's a $25,000 referral giveaway thing. I'm not a part of that, so I'm not pushing you guys for me to get part of that referral, but you guys can participate in that if you want. And if you retweet this tweet, I'm going to post it in the live chat right now. If you retweet this tweet, you will have opportunity to next week. We will be drawing a $100 giveaway. Retweet to chance to win. Go and retweet this. Show some love. You're also helping support this channel by just retweeting this, because it helps us have these different channel partners and sponsors and make sure that we can continue doing what we're doing. And you can also, again, go to this link right here, bit.ly/BitLab GLX. They've got an incredible new, basically iGaming, gambling, it's everything. There's role-playing games, role-playing strategy that this whole thing works together. It's one of the most beautiful blendings of Web3 and gaming, and it's awesome. So check this out. I'm actually going to be interviewing them later this week as well. And participate, make some money, retweet that tweet. Let's get in on it. Okay, let's go ahead right here. A couple more coins before we go. Stacks, which we have not looked at lately. Same thing. Look at this large W pattern potentially forming. We've got, yeah, money flow still a little bit negative here on the 4 hour, but we want to see this zone right here. Look at this precarious situation. These lows are exactly where not only this bounces, but also exactly where this weekly VWAP is. If the price action can clear this zone, I do think stacks will likely be making that next leg up. SEI, we haven't looked at in quite a while. We can go ahead and delete this line on the chart. Also, look at this. We're starting to form some higher lows here along the way, along with this sort of W pattern, with the smaller W pattern within it. Again, we're watching the weekly VWAPs on these. If we can clear that, then that signal that they're trying to play that positive bullish spread. If we lose this zone, if it's just a washout, we're watching for this zone right here. We're looking at this previous range low, come across. That's essentially about 50 cents, about 2 cents down, right? About 50 cents. But if we lose that, we can copy paste and just make that easy. If we lose that, then we're looking for a basically testing this zone over here down in the 45 cent sort of mark. But I am leaning bullish. Watch for a potential washout. They could be coming along the way. I'm doing doing a great interview this afternoon, a little bit after this, Credible Crypto. So stay tuned for that. I'll be posting more about that. Head over to the BitLab Twitter page and tweet that tweet out right here. Retweet this. Come over here. Hit this retweet. I can't believe only 5 people have retweeted this. That's a 1 in 5 shot that you can get that you can basically get entered to win that $100 USDT. So head over here, show some love. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay classy. Don't get so bogged down with the small price action to the downside right now, because it's going to be going to the moon before you know it. That's all I got, everybody. Adios, muchachos.